was gathering your numbers and not just marching down a street and it's all show. It don't bring about any real change. It don't bring about any real change. And I've been noticing quite a few of you folks that's on Twitter land you have started setting up communities on your Twitter profile since I called it out. I have taken notice to it. But the first year that I was on Twitter land, not any of you had a Twitter community. Not most of you didn't even have a community on your profile until I called it out. I'm noticing that quite a few of you have started a community on your profile on Twitter land. Well, put it to good use. Re-up got thousands in his community. Got thousands. Tariq Nasheed gather thousands of people anytime he feels like it. Yvette Cornell gather thousands of people anytime she feels like it. Well, if you folks can gather those numbers, why can't you organize a boycott? What is stopping you? What is hindering you? Can someone explain that to me? Why do you have over thousands of people following you and you're not trying to organize a boycott? You folks that y'all sit on Twitter land crying about getting blocked and who not following you. You not following me. I'm not following you. You cry over who is following you. You downright cry over getting blocked. It's downright pitiful. It's downright pitiful. But like I started to say, for those of you who care to dedicate your life to boycotting, then click my profile and join that boycott community that I have pinned to my profile. Because I don't care about anything else but boycotting. If you're not boycotting, you're just talking. You're just talking with no action. If you're preaching about voting, then I know you're mentally handicapped. I know you're mentally handicapped. If I hear you folks is talking about voting, I can already make my evaluation that you're mentally handicapped. Are you part of that inside club? You have received your invite to that inside club, so you good to go. You are in a good position like Mark King Carter in Chicago Red in April Showers in Denmark. It's a lot of you folks. It's too many to name. It's just too many to name. You folks too comfortable. Y'all just far too comfortable to really care about activists. Y'all just far too comfortable to care about oppression. You're far too comfortable to really demand that the Negro ancestors' debt be paid. Y'all can stop the farce. You can stop the farce because you really only got about 2 years before the Republicans locked down and the Jews and anybody, all those folks who are up in that oligarchy. You got about 2 years if you're lucky. You only got about 2 years if you're lucky. Mark King Carter, April Showers, you got about 2 years to keep on bragging. You got about 2 years to brag. Get all your bragging out while you can. Get all your bragging out while you can, because you only got about 2 years to brag. Because when the Republicans get done cooking up their little nice, pretty tax cut for those in the top brackets, those folks in the bottom bracket, a lot of them gonna die. A lot of them gonna get murdered, like Jordan Neely, because they're not gonna have no food to eat. They're not gonna have a roof over their head. They're not gonna have a job. But you folks gonna get that tax cut. You folks are going to get that business tax cut. You're gonna get that independent, individual tax cut, and you're gonna be happy. All is going to be right in your world, because Donald Trump is going to make sure you get that tax cut. That was about the first thing that came out of his mouth on election night. He made sure to say that right away. I am going to renew that tax cut that I passed in 2017. See how that works? See how that works? That's what April Showers be popping on the stage bragging about. They got a little secret club. They got a little secret club, like the Megas, like the Proud Boys, like the KKK, like the White Nationals, like all of those good folkses, who run around here bragging about what they're doing. They're doing so much, and you just don't know about it. April Showers said you don't know about it because it's a well-kept secret. It's a well-kept secret. Her and Martine Carter, they got a well-kept secret. They doing a whole lot behind the scenes, but they can't tell but certain folks. They can only tell certain folks who are part of the inside clique. Do you tell any difference than what I have just described to you than those D9s and AKA that Martine Carter is always talking about? Don't you see the similarity? Don't you folks see the similarity? Don't you see the play? Don't you see the hustle? It's not much difference. It's not much difference. That's why your enemy is not threatened. Your enemy know they not threatened by anything that you claim to be doing. Your enemy is not threatened by nothing that you claim to be doing, because they clearly have evaluated. It's just pockets of you claiming that you're doing something. You're only including those folks who you rub elbows with. You're only including those folks who are part of your little clique. Those folks who are part of your little private club. Your enemy clearly knows that. They don't have no threat. They don't have 1 ounce of threat. And I think that's why you sorry brain dead human beings don't have the backbone to boycott. Don't have the backbone. You should be boycotting 365 days until America delivers Special Field Order 15. Separation. Because America is never going to be a safe place for persons with brown and dark brown skin to live. They are never going to experience an ounce of justice. They are never going to experience that, because America don't see brown and dark brown skinned human beings as human beings. They are never going to do that. They are never going to do that. You know, all the marching and all the protesting and all the voting and all your little LLCs and your nonprofits and your interviews on Fox News and CNN and MSNBC, none of that is going to change anything, because the enemy only cares about power, money, and control. Your enemy only cares about power, money, and control. And it looks like you folks have spit the bug. Yep, I be listening to you folks. America has done a job, a thorough job. America has done a thorough job of indoctrination. Indoctrination. They convince you to see yourself as black. They convince you to be satisfied with crumbs. They convince you to be satisfied with your little grants and your little government contracts and your little comfortable jobs and your little invite to the White House and your little invite to special parties and be invited to the inside club. They clearly know they got you convinced to accept paying for your own oppression. Paying for your own oppression. While America spends the money around the world to cause destruction. Each one of us is paying taxes for America to go around the world and cause destruction and cause wars that men and women are dying. Men and women are dying. I didn't fully understand my choice to go into the military when I made that decision at 17 years old. I made that decision after walking around my block a couple times and doing some deep thinking. I was just 17 years old. I was in my summer school vacation. I hadn't turned 18. I had to get my mother to sign for me to go into the military on the delay enlistment. So before I started the 12th grade, I had already enlisted in the military. I did not even have my diploma because I hadn't started 12th grade. I was enjoying my summer vacation. So when I made that decision to go into the military, I had my reasons. I'm not going to make any excuses for it. But in life, when you know better, you should do better. When you know better, you should do better. And now that I've had time to reflect on my military career and the commitment that it came with, and understanding better the role that the military play in the destruction that has been caused around the world, that weighs heavy on my conscience every day of my life. It weighs very, very heavy on my conscience every day of my life. Me and my best friend of 30 years, we talk about it constantly. We both retired. We met in the military in 91. 91. We met in airborne school, jump school. We both were going to complete our airborne school, and we met in formation, and we just started talking to each other. And we've been friends for over 30 years now. Thank the Lord, we've been blessed to be friends for 30 years or more. Such a blessing. I can't thank my Heavenly Father enough for that blessing. So me and her, we spend quite a bit of time talking about it. And I can tell you, it's not a day I wake up that it don't weigh on my mind. It's constantly there, weighing on my mind and on my heart. So when you know better, hopefully you try to do better. So many young and old and middle-aged persons are dying in these wars. They are dying in these wars. And seems like folks just care about tax cuts. Folks just care about tax cuts, and they person got across the finish line. They don't seem to be doing much talking about how to stop having so many wars that the government that you choose to participate in, that you choose to vote for, they decide at any given time to send men and women off to die. They just send men and women off to die. I was looking at my Twitter post the other day, and Elon Musk had posted something about, I can't remember how it went, but it said something along the lines that any person that vote for war should have to go to war. Something like that. That a law maybe should be passed that anyone that vote for war, who are okay with the government deciding to go to war, that they should be forced to serve. They should be forced to serve. I think that would be a good idea. Maybe American citizens will have more of a voice before America decides to enter all of these wars, and before America go around the whole world causing destruction. But that's not it. That don't seem to be of importance right now. That don't seem to be of importance. Folks just care about those immigrants getting deported. Folks just care about those immigrants getting deported. They just care about those tax cuts that they're going to get for their business. They just care about those tax cuts that Donald Trump don't promise. Donald Trump don't promise a tax cut that he's going to renew it. So all is right in the world. All is right in the world for those folks who got that tax cut from 35% down to 21%. Donald Trump served it up right, I guess. Donald Trump reduced the tax bracket for those folks from 35% all the way down to 21%. All the way down to 21%. Where do you think that money is going to come from? Where do you folks think that money is going to come from? Is it going to come from the EBT? Is it going to come from welfare? Is it going to come from public schools? Is it going to come from Medicare? Is it going to come from prescription drugs? Is it going to come from Medicaid? Is it going to come from Social Security? Where is the money going to come from? Is it going to drop out? Is it going to drop out the sky? That good old tax cut that Donald Trump wanted to keep in place, Where do you think that money is going to come from? It's just going to drop out the sky. That's what's going to happen. Nobody's going to care about who's going to fix the infrastructure, who's going to create jobs, who's going to create affordable living, apartments and homes. Nobody's going to care about where that money is going to come from. Just as long as I get my tax cut. Just as long as I get my tax cut for my business and my individual tax return, all is right in the world. All is right in the world. All is right in the world. And I'm looking forward to that IOU that you promised me. Since I went out there and caped so hard for you, I caped, and I did a good job. I caped for you, Republicans. I caped 24/7, Mark King Carter. Sexy Raw. I hope you got paid a good paycheck. I hope you got an invite like Mark King Carter got that invite by the Republicans. I hope you have a seat at the table. I hope your behind is warm when you sit in that chair. I hope your behind is warmed, real nice and warm, that you got a seat at the table. You got a nice, comfortable seat at the table. But you ain't gonna do nothing but get a couple of perks for a couple of your friends. That's all you're gonna do. Because that's all your enemy is going to allow. That's all your enemy is going to allow. They're going to give you enough to make you feel like be for real. Chicago Red can run around here and brag about all this help that Donald Trump gave her family. As long as your enemy know that you're okay with those little situations that you can point out, then they know they're gonna keep on winning. As long as they know they only have to help a few, not really make any real changes, then nothing is gonna change. So Chicago Red can run around here and brag about whatever she brag about. She can run around here and brag about all the help that Donald Trump gave somebody in her family. She can brag about that until the cows come home. But that didn't help Jordan Neely get justice in the courtroom. That didn't help Jordan Neely get justice in the courtroom. And that is not going to help millions and millions of us receive justice day to day. So if it's not going to have an impact in that way, it's all for nothing. Yeah, it's all good that a family member was helped out. It's all well and good that a family member was able to get help. But if your enemy is doing everything in their power to show you that you will not receive justice in America, what do you have to brag about? I would like to know. I would like to know, is a blessing for all you persons who catch a break, for all you persons who catch a break, and things work out in your favor for your family members or yourself. That's all well and good. That's all well and good. But if it's not going to deliver Negroes and other brown and dark brown skinned human beings to receive justice day to day, what has changed? When you're not safe, and day after day that you wake up and you're not safe and somebody can murder you at will and walk away free, what do you have to brag about? April showers? April showers. Can you please tell me, what do you have to brag about and disrespect Zip? What do you have to brag about? April showers? What do you have to brag about, Marquis Carter? What do you have to brag about, Chicago Red? Because Jordan Neely, murderer, walked out the courtroom. And that's happening every second of the day. That injustice is happening every second of the day. Too many to count. And you brain dead human beings are running around here bragging. I would like to know what you got to brag about. I would kind of like to know what you have to brag about, because in my 62 years, I ain't felt safe. No, let me correct myself. When I was growing up in my community, in the projects, and in the neighborhood that I grew up in, I felt safe. As safe as I could. As safe as I could, Bill, because we watched each other back. Now we had our own telecommunication system. You won't getting past a couple of steps unless somebody knew you. Unless somebody knew you and gave you the okay, you won't get a couple steps into the neighborhood before you got stopped. So that's the line of communication that I grew up in. That's the environment that I grew up in. I mean, when I came home, they even stopped me. When I came back home on leave, I was just walking up to the neighborhood store. I had walked up that street so many times, but I had been away. When I came back, they stopped me. They said, "Who you are?" I say, "I'm a Johnson." And they gave me the pass and let me go. So we had a foolproof telecommunication system in the neighborhoods that I grew up in. So I would kind of like to know. April showers, Mark King Carter, Chicago Red. What do you folks have to brag about? What do you folks have to brag about? Nikki Barnes, all of you brain dead Democrats, all of you brain dead Republicans that have brown and dark brown skin, what do you folks have to brag about? And when are you going to get a backbone? When are you going to summon the backbone to boycott? Because as long as you brain dead human beings keep waking up day after day and clicking on these social media platforms, you are sending a clear message to your enemy that you're weak. And you're not going to do anything but talk. You ain't going to never do anything and make a sacrifice. You may even have to die. But that's why I push the boycott so hard. Because I know none of us want to die. Not any of us want to die until the good Lord take us from this world. Not one of us are raising our hand to volunteer to die. That is the main reason why I push the boycotts so hard. I know many of us cannot sacrifice boycotting our job. Shopping black and buying black is not going to have the impact that we need. It's just not going to do it. We need drastic measures, very, very drastic measures at this critical crossroad. And that little It's all good. It's very important to shop black and buy black. But if you really, really, really want to have an impact, it has to be a boycott. A 24/7, 365 days if necessary until demands are met. That's the only thing. That's the only card that we have to play. That's the only card that we have to play. And you folks are sending a very clear message to your enemy that you're weak. That you're weak. You're gonna take to the streets and protest. They don't care about that. It's a spectacle at this point. It's a downright spectacle. It helps a policeman get overtime pay. They happy. They happy. They getting overtime pay. They happy. But you're not a threat. You're not a threat. And you're not hurting them in their pocket. They care about money. They got to feel the pain. They got to feel some pain. And then you're going to get their attention. If they can't feel no pain, it's all show. It's all for nothing. And that's a clear message that you adults are sending to your enemy. Every single day. That you wake up and get on Twitter. That you wake up and get on YouTube. That you wake up and get on Clubhouse. That you wake up and get on Facebook. You wake up and get on TikTok. You wake up and get on Instagram. You are sending a clear message that they have the green light to keep murdering you without any consequences. That's what you're telling them. You might as well stamp it across your forehead, because Daniel Penny should not have walked out of that courtroom without consequences by the community. Daniel Penny should not have walked out of that courtroom without America feeling consequences. And the only consequences that America is going to pay attention to is a boycott. The same way the NBA and the WNBA boycotted for 48 hours. It shook the world. It downright shook the world, and it only took them 2 days to do it. 48 hours. 48 hours, and they shook the whole world because they lost money. They lost money. They lost money, and they felt some pain. They felt some pain, so they came before that microphone talking like aliens. Talking like aliens from Mars or Pluto. They walked before that microphone real quick because they didn't want to lose that money. They didn't want to lose that money. So they came before that microphone and they were talking like aliens out of space from Mars and Pluto. So you folks can stop making the phone. Stop running around here claiming that you grassroots movement, activists. Just stop the line. Stop the charade. Just completely stop the charade. After Jordan Neely, don't put up the pretense no more, okay? Don't put up the pretense no more. You're at the end of the crossroad. It's going to take something very, very drastic to flip it. In order to flip it, it's going to take something really drastic at this point. The Republicans and the Asians and the Latinos and the Mexicans already done signed a contract to share power going forward. It's a done deal. It's a done deal. They already have control of 27 states out of 50. By midterm election, they are going to have at least another 5 or 10. So Marquine Carter and Sexy Raw, I hope y'all are comfortably at that table. I hope you are comfortably sitting in your seat at the table. Because the Republicans so many people, so much suffering, so many people are dying, so much suffering, so many people are dying, and so much suffering, and all it takes is a boycott. Dedicate and make the sacrifice to boycott. It's going to be painful. All of us are going to have to make a sacrifice. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be perfect. Right out of the gate, it's not going to be perfect. You're going to have to take baby steps, and baby steps. The first month, it may be rocky. The second month, it may be rocky. The third month, it may be rocky. By the fourth month, hopefully it's starting to get on the tracks. But you got to do it. You got to do it. That's the only choice that we have. That's the only choice that we have. They are murdering us by the second. They're just picking us off at will. One murder after another murder. At will. Anytime they feel like doing it, they are doing it because they know they're going to walk. They know they're going to walk. And they don't have any consequences. Not one. That's the only thing that we can do. That's the only thing that we can do. Enough is enough. This is a very sick environment that we live in. It's a very, very sick environment, and it's not going to change unless folks have pressure to force it. Human beings need pressure to do the right thing. They need pressure to do the right thing. Legislation is never going to make racism go away. Legislation is never going to stop hunger. Legislation is never going to stop folks from getting evicted. Legislation is not going to stop prisoner pipeline. Legislation is not going to stop these vigilantes murdering human beings at will. Legislation is not going to stop Jim Crow police. The only hope is a boycott and separation and self-reliance. That's the only three things that we can fight for our children and grandkids. If we're not fighting for those three things, it's all for nothing. Boycott, separation, self-reliance. So we can have a place on this earth so that Negroes and brown and dark brown skinned persons can have a place in America that they can make safe by whatever means necessary. That they should have the ability to govern themselves. Because America is never going to be fair. It's never going to happen. It's been over 150 years. It's never going to happen. And it's downright criminal. It's downright criminal to pass this harm down to our children and grandkids. It's downright criminal. Separation is the only thing. Separation. And that is why Special Field Order 15 should be the number one demand that our ancestors fought and died for. So that's the number one thing on the table. And America should have no problem delivering Special Field Order 15 with all the money they don't send to Ukraine, all the money they don't send to Israel, all the money they don't spend taking care of invaders, all the money that the corporations are getting for subsidized, for corporate welfare, all the perks that all of those persons in Congress is getting, all of those perks that those folks in the senators are getting. There's plenty of money for all the corruption that they do. There's plenty of money for all the corruption. So they can find the money and they can find the land and just come to the table and sign the contract and let us part ways. Let us part ways and get it done with. Part ways and get it done with. Because these human beings are going to continue to murder us one by one. They are going to continue to murder us one by one and walk out the courtroom. Sandra Macy, murderer, is getting ready to get asked to be released until his trial date come up. They are never going to face any jail time when they murder one of us. They're not going to do that. Every now and then, one of them is a sacrificial lamb. Every now and then, one of them is a sacrificial lamb to make it look good, to keep up the farce. They got to make it look good. They got to give you brain dead folks hope that America's not racist, that America's not evil. They got to give you folks who like to vote, give you that little hope that just the right legislation is going to get passed. There's going to be a hate crime bill. There's going to be a bill for justice. There's no such thing as justice in America. It's never going to be anything such as justice in America. It don't exist. So stop saying it out your mouth. It don't exist. Why are you lying? Because any person with some eyes in their head and some ears, they can clearly see that's not going to happen. It don't exist. So why lie about it? Why? Why lie about it? Isn't 150 years long enough to stop you from lying? How many more years you need? Do you need another 50 years? Do you need another 100 years before you can stop lying to yourself? Oh, I want equal justice. I want equal justice. I would like to have equal justice. Are you brain dead? Are you mentally handicapped? You have to be. Or you would never say those words out your mouth. I mean, you gotta be kidding. To even fit your mouth to say, I want justice. I want equal justice. I want equal justice. I would like equal justice. Well, there's no such thing as that in America for Negroes and brown and dark-skinned human beings. It don't exist. Excuse me. It do not exist. And we know it. These human beings are literally celebrating Daniel Penny walking out the courtroom. And you, sorry human beings, just got up the next day and opened a Twitter space like nothing happened. Like nothing happened. You just got up and opened as many Twitter spaces as you felt like doing and talking. Some of you decided to go protest in the streets when all you had to do is to send your enemy a clear message. You are going to get consequences. Enemy, you are going to start receiving consequences, and the consequences that I am going to deliver to you is a boycott around the clock until I have separation, until I have safety in my environment that I live in, until I can evaluate that I have safety, I have safety. I have demanded safety. I have demanded safety. I am going to demand safety. And if you deny me of that safety, I am going to boycott you until I die. I am going to boycott you until I die. And if you choose to do that, that's your personal choice. But that is the message. That's a collective message that all of us who are Negroes and brown and dark brown skinned persons should be sending starting tomorrow or today. Starting tomorrow or today, that is the only message that America should be hearing going forward. And those of you who are monetized, you continue to earn your money. But if you're not monetized, then I'm asking you, join the boycott that I have pinned to my profile. And after we start gathering those numbers, we can launch it and activate it at any given time. Once the numbers start to grow, hopefully within the next 30 to 60 days. Within the next 30 to 60 days, the numbers hopefully will start to grow. And once those numbers start to grow, then we can agree to meet up on fan base once a week or twice a week or whatever it takes to try to keep us, I guess. Folks told me once before when I launched the boycott that folks needed someplace else to go. If they were going to be asked to stay off a certain platform, then they needed to have someplace else to go. So my choice is to have a meetup on Funded Socially or fan base. That's what I feel will have an impact. That's what I believe with all my heart and soul that will have a real impact. If that is done collectively, if Tariq Nasheed, Yvette Cornell, Re-Up, if all these persons who got thousands and thousands of people following them, if they work dedicated and commit to reaching out to all those good old folks who decide to follow you, all those persons that come into your room day after day, they come into your room day after day. You folks meet up on Clubhouse. You meet up on Facebook, YouTube. You meet up on all of these different platforms, on your enemy's platform, and talk. Why can't you meet up and organize for a boycott? It's not a big leap. Because you seem to have no problem getting up day after day and gathering together in these rooms to talk to each other. So if you have the energy to do that, and you have the energy to put boots on the ground, and you have the energy to protest, then you have the energy to boycott, to organize a national boycott. You have the energy, but do you have the backbone? Do you have the backbone to do it? No, I have not seen that. I have not seen any of that. Not any of that. I'm going to get ready to close out here. You folks got more heat and smoke for tetters than you ever have for your enemy. That's when I really got disgusted today, the other day. Especially when I heard April showers go off on Zip. I said that was going to be the camel. That was going to be the straw that broke the camel's back for me. I said that lady is going to be the straw that broke the camel's back. After I heard her go off on Zip and Tupac's, two men, two very, very strong men, and nobody corrected that lady. So I told myself, Aquilin, you're going to have to stop in your tracks and do a broadcast on her, because nobody else seemed to have the backbone to put that lady in her place. So I guess God told me, God said, Aquilin, you're going to have to stop in your tracks and do a broadcast. So I did. That's why I'm here doing it, because it was uncalled for. It was totally uncalled for. I was listening the day that she went off on Tupac's. I was listening the day that she went off last night on Zip. So I'm not guessing. I'm not making an assumption. I heard it with my own 2 ears. I heard it with my own 2 ears, and there was no reason for that lady to go off on those men. But for some odd reason, a lot of women think they have the right to disrespect men, and somebody needed to help them. Someone needs to help them pronto, because I don't know who in God's name told them they have the right to do that. Maybe they have told their little brain they have the right to do it because they're a woman. Well, somebody needs to correct them, and quickly, because they're going to run into the wrong man, and they're going to chew them up and spit them out. They're going to chew them up and spit them out, and then they're going to correct themselves. But they on these social media apps, and they feel empowered. They feel all gangster. They are bona fide gangsters. Bonafide gangsters. Bonafide gangsters. They bring more heat and smoke to tetras and immigrants than they ever do for their enemy. That's pitiful. It's downright pitiful. In my past 2 years of watching you adults, y'all have more smoke and more anger for the Pan-Africans and the immigrants from Jamaica, Haiti, Bahamas, Ethiopia, and Nigeria. You have more heat and anger for them than you ever show for your enemy. What I have watched for the past 2 years, you folks can do a lot of talking and complaining, but never no action. And the only action that you can take to have an impact is a boycott. If you're not doing that, it's a waste of time. So I think most of you folks are going to keep on taking out your anger on the immigrants, the Jamaicans and the Haitians and the Africans, because they're an easy battle. They're an easy fight for you. You ain't got the backbone for no real fight. You don't have a backbone for a real fight, so you pick your easy target, who are the Pan-Africans and the Teters. Let Tariq tell you. Y'all folks is worship that man like he's some god. Y'all pitiful. Downright pitiful. It's a downright shame that Tariq Nasheed has not organized a boycott. It's a downright shame that Yvette Cornell has not organized a boycott. It's a downright shame that Mark King Carter has not organized a boycott. It's a downright shame that Chicago Red has not organized a boycott. It's a downright shame that Miss T has not organized a boycott. It's a downright shame that April Showers has not organized a boycott. Seeing as how she got such a loud mouth. She got a very loud mouth. Why don't she use that loud mouth to organize a boycott? Cause she weak. You all show. You all mouth and show. You folks don't have no action. You're weak, and your enemy has already evaluated that. Before Daniel Penny walked out the courtroom, your enemy clearly knew you were not going to have a backbone to give no consequences. That man was going to walk out of that courtroom and sleep comfortably in his bed, because they had no threat from you folks who do a lot of talking, a lot of bragging, 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 a lot of talking, a lot of bragging. So Daniel Penny walked out the courtroom, and you sorry human beings got on a Twitter app and talked. Daniel Penny walked out the courtroom. You sorry human beings got on a Twitter app and talked. You see the problem? Do you see the problem? Why your enemy don't feel threatened to murder anyone at will. So, in closing, I want folks to stop listening to y'all folks. I want them to stop listening to you, because you're not an activist. You're not a grassroots movement. You're not that. You're not grassroots movement, because if you were, you would be boycotting around the clock until your enemy came to the table. But if you're not doing that, you simply hustling your community. You simply feeding your egos. You are hustling your community, you are scamming your community, and you are feeding your ego. Because you ain't got nothing to brag about. Not one of you. Not me, not you, not me, not you, not me, not you, not me have anything to brag about when Daniel Penny can walk out the courtroom. When Sandra Macy can be murdered with a pot of hot water. You folks don't have anything to brag about when Sandra Macy can be murdered over a pot of hot water. And Daniel Penny can walk out the courtroom. You folks don't have nothing to brag about, because your enemy already have clearly evaluated you folks as weak. Y'all are the weakest human beings on the face of the earth. And you tell your enemy that every day that you open a room. Go right ahead. You're going to keep right on opening these rooms. You're going to keep on opening them on Twitter. You're going to keep on opening them on Clubhouse. You're going to open them on TikTok and YouTube and Facebook and Instagram. And your enemy is sitting back looking forward to the next person they're going to murder. While you are sitting up talking, they are sitting up plotting who they're going to murder the next go round, the next second, the next minute, the next hour, the next day. That's what they planning on doing, while you folks are comfortably sitting up on a Twitter app talking to your phone and feeling gangster. Downright pitiful. It's downright pitiful. So you folks can stop faking the funk. Stop faking the funk. Stop pretending that you're doing something. Because until America delivers Special Field Order 15, separation and self-reliance, not one of us have anything to brag about. Until those three things are accomplished, not one of us have anything to brag about. Because the Negro ancestors, they died for Special Field Order 15. America needs to suffer consequences. That's why they need to be boycotted every single day until this world come to an end. Until this world come to an end, America needs to be boycotted. And that boycott